Hi everyone, it's National Road Safety Month here in India, and what a time for us to focus on safety when really things seem to be coming around in terms of becoming not just front and center for the industry but also for the consumer when it comes to their vehicle choices, and a lot of those choices depending now on the kind of safety a vehicle offers. Joining me now to talk more about that is R Velusamy. He's the Global Product Development Chief at Mahindra. Velu, it's good to see you.
Hi Sid, good to see you.
But tell me, from your perspective, as a buyer should see it, what should the impact of these ratings really signify? When it's a 5-star car or a 4-star car or a 3-star car, what should that mean to them?
Basically, in the crash rating, what happens in the crash is they measure the different injury levels at 4 places. They divide the driver and the co-driver and the occupants into 4 zones. So you have a head zone, then you have a chest zone, then you have a femur that's just below the hip, and then you have a leg zone. Now, the most important thing is to protect the head and chest and femur. That's that one. Each zone has got 4 points rating, so you get these 16 ratings, 4 points that you get, plus 1 point you get for additional equipment that you get. So total 17 points. So when you are 5-star, you have to be above certain values of 13, right? If you have to reach 13, in all zones you have to reach certain bare minimum values. The best probability of protection against serious injury will happen in a 5-star vehicle than a 2-star and 1-star.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, let me remind our viewers that these ratings are for adult occupant protection, and then there's a separate rating for the child occupant protection in the rear seat. And it's both these areas where we have seen of late Mahindra vehicles scoring really high. In fact, the highest scores of all Indian-made vehicles tested so far, Mahindra is right now riding that wave. So tell me this though, when we talk about developing products, so many people at Mahindra, Pawan, etc., they've all talked about how now there's a commitment that we don't really want to develop a new vehicle here on that doesn't meet these kind of high ratings. So really, when it comes to the new product development, at what stage do you sort of start thinking of the safety, and then how do you keep a handle on the cost, because we are a very price competitive market?
So, Sid, basically there are 3 levels of safety that you provide. One is in the basic car structure, whether it is a body-on-frame or a monocoque. In the structure itself, you provide certain energy absorption characteristics in the front and the structure retention characteristics around the passenger seating area. So, in the front, you say I will absorb the crash energy, and in the passenger sitting area, I will say I will provide a very stiff cage that does not deform. So in the front it will deform, the passenger area it will not deform. So that structure design is so important, and that can be done only in the concept phase of the program. And second is, in the event such a crash is taking place, then you try to deploy all kinds of airbags plus seat belt retraction, tightening of the seat belt, airbags plus ABS, ESP, all the dynamic systems comes into play to minimize the impact of the accident. And the third thing that you try and do is in your system that activates, whether it is an airbag system activation, the coordinated effort of several things that come into when the crash is taking place. You reduce even if I have pressed the accelerator pedal, you try to reduce the accelerator pedal the moment the crash sensor comes, and then you send an alarm to your loved ones. So you have multiple levels of safety that you can build in, and that you have to build it from the beginning, and all of them have to be tested out. What is the optimum setting for crash energy absorption? Then the cage stiffness, that we call it as high strength steel, we deploy in that area where it doesn't deform. So in the crash you use a low strength steel to absorb the energy, and in the passenger area you use a hot formed steels to protect the cage that does not deform.
That's right.
That's how you do.
Yeah, in fact, there are areas you want the car to crumple, and there are areas you want it to hold its form. And this is why I think it's so important to have this awareness amongst all of our viewers as well. People who are out there shopping for new vehicles, they need to know these things. And in fact, I must also quickly share that all of these questions I'm asking you have actually come from these viewers, a lot of avid enthusiasts who knew of this session. and they've sent in a lot of questions. So it kind of, what you've said right now, Velu, it kind of answers the next question, but I'm going to still ask because people might still have that doubt. We have a question that says, even though my car has 2 airbags, ABS and EBD, it still fared poorly, that model still fared poorly in the global NCAP test with a low score. So why does this happen?
It's about the structure. See, airbag comes and deploys between you and the steering wheel, the head and the steering wheel. But if the whole steering wheel is moving forward, backward in a crash,
there's
and
only
if the
so
structure
much
is
an airbag
collapsing, and beyond a point, airbag cannot do anything. And likewise, if the ABS is not there, if the wheels skidding and then the vehicle is turning in different new surfaces when you apply a brake and then it starts to skid at high speed, then the airbag cannot fully help you.
Yeah. And in fact, I must remind everybody that in all of this, not wearing a seat belt also sort of takes away all of the things that a car can otherwise do. You have to wear your seat belt as well for all of these things to kick in, for them to be effective. Now, Velu, there are 2 questions. They're both sort of linked in a way. So I'm going to combine them because I think this is where a lot of confusion and the dilemma for consumers comes in. The first is talking about how India is a price-sensitive market, and that in the past very often was used as an excuse by manufacturers saying, hey, the more safety equipment or capability we add, the higher the price to the consumer. They don't want to pay for it, which has now been disproved, of course, to a large extent. But if a car like a Tiago can score 4 stars, at its price, then what's stopping others from really doing it, since price factor doesn't seem to be related? That's the first part of it. And the second is about how you have so many cars that are manufactured in India and then shipped to other parts of the world where there are stringent crash regulations, but yet the Indian version of that vehicle you find doesn't really meet the same kind of safety standard. So why this difference?
As I said, the design of the car, the front end has to do the absorption and the passenger car compartment has to do the resistance against the crash deformations. If you design it intelligently and use high strength steels, you reduce the material weight and therefore you compensate the low strength to high strength cost difference. So in a way you get a benefit with the weight, but you don't reduce the cost. Where the cost difference comes, in my opinion, is the safety equipments. So suppose you put a passenger car, the driver airbag, and then you add a passenger airbag. That adds cost straight away, and it's a question of customer affordability. And then you have an ABS, then you have an ESP, then you have a seat belt reminder, then you have a seat belt retraction at both ends. And then child protection, ISO fix, they all add on equipments, they add a bundle of costs. Now, the high end, the vehicles that are shipped to Europe, if you have designed it in 2010, for example, you might have used add-on components to improve the structure in the front, but the base vehicle would have been designed in a normal low carbon steel. And there you will find it very difficult to get an affordable price point in India. If the new vehicles are designed,
to add on,
if the new vehicles that you design it and if you have taken care in the beginning, then it's just a matter of adding the airbags and ISO fixes and ABS and ESP, and that is comparable to anybody. If a OEM A is offering all these ABS, ESP and passenger airbag and driver airbag, you also offer it. The prices are not so different because it's given by the similar suppliers. So the difference in the cost would come from the structure of the vehicle, the way it is designed. So it is which generation the vehicle belongs to. So that would be my point of view, Sid.
Yeah. No, and of course, unfortunately, we have seen distressing results of more recently designed vehicles where, the same platform vehicle in other markets seems to do better in terms of footwell area stability or A-pillar structural strength stability. But that's a separate conversation. I think you already know what brands I'm talking about. The good part is, like I said at the start, a lot more people care about this subject now when they are considering their vehicle choices. Velu, thank you for you and your team to be doing all of this work is very exciting for us. We're talking about active, passive safety. We're also talking about driver assistance systems, and all of this is coming to cars just as we speak. So it's an exciting time. Good to see that safety focus from all of you at brand Mahindra as well. And thank you all for watching, and please do comment. Tell us what you think about this and what your take is on what should be important, standard, or absolutely relevant when it comes to your vehicles and safety within those vehicles. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Sid.